My name is Oscar Cutter. I'm 62 years old, and I spent most of my life serving my country from behind classified briefings and locked war rooms. I've buried secrets for the government that would ruin empires, but none of them prepared me for the betrayal waiting inside my own home. My daughter Marina was born into privilege. Private schools, ski vacations, trust funds, but she's never had to earn loyalty or loss the way I have. Since Elena died, I've become something of a ghost at family gatherings, tolerated but forgotten. And that was fine, until her necklace disappeared, the one she wore on our wedding day, the one I buried her with. I thought I'd buried my wife, but someone dug her up and sold the last piece of her soul. The call came at 2:12 a.m. Static. Then a voice cloaked in digital distortion. "You don't know me, but I know what they did with your wife's necklace. It's already sold." Click. Silence. I stared at the screen until it went black. My thumb hovered over redial, but I didn't hit it. I'd spent years decoding voices under stress, but this one, it wasn't panicked. It was controlled, cold. The next morning, Bank of Edison called. "Mr. Cutter," the woman's voice was tight, professional. "We need to inform you that safety deposit box number 431 under Elena Cutter's estate has been accessed. A power of attorney was used." My chest hollowed. "That box is sealed under probate. There was a notarized override filed 6 weeks ago, digitally signed." 6 weeks ago, I was recovering from a minor stroke. I hadn't checked the vault once since. My hands curled into fists. My own name, erased from something I helped build. My signature forged, or worse, legally stolen by someone I trusted. Cutscene. Marina didn't even look up from her tablet when I entered her Manhattan apartment. Sunlight spilled across hardwood floors. She was curled on the couch in silk loungewear, scrolling through vacation rentals. "I got a call about your mother's necklace," I said. She smiled without looking. "Dad, don't spiral. It's not the end of the world. You accessed Elena's safety box." Pause. Then she laughed, quiet, condescending. "You mean our box. The estate's being processed. I'm executor. You forged my approval. It's called financial delegation. You weren't exactly present this year." Her eyes flicked up. "Anyway, Holden needed quick liquidity for the trip. Spain's not cheap." Holden, her fiancé. All teeth and suits, always smelling like imported sweat and overpriced tobacco. He entered the room right then, sunglasses on indoors. "Oscar," he said with fake warmth, "Ibiza's waiting. You should come." "Where's the necklace?" He looked at Marina, grinned. "Probably paying for a sea view villa." "You sold it?" "To someone who appreciates gold, I'm sure." Marina added, "It was just jewelry." "Dad, sentiment's not a currency." I almost hit him, but I didn't, because the game just changed. By noon, I was standing in front of the Bank of Edison surveillance monitor, next to a manager who smelled like too much cologne and weak decisions. I watched the footage from the date the box was accessed. That wasn't Marina, not unless she'd shrunk 3 inches, bleached her hair, and started wearing latex gloves in broad daylight. "Do you recognize this person?" the manager asked. "No." "But she had my daughter's ID?" He nodded slowly. "Facial match doesn't check out, but the biometric chip passed clearance. It's Marina's credentials, just attached to someone else." My throat dried. Whoever that was, they used my daughter as a shell. Or worse, Marina knew. "There's always a trade," I said aloud. The manager blinked. "What?" I shook my head. "Nothing. Just something my wife used to say. Every lie costs something. The truth just makes you bleed faster." Cut scene. I called Marina again that night, straight to voicemail. My inbox pinged. A new message, no subject line, from an encrypted address. One attachment, a blurry screenshot of a digital transfer. BTC wallet received 2.04 BTC. Note, item delivered, no returns. The wallet address traced to Thorne & Weller private brokers, known for silent, untraceable high-value transactions. An elite fencing service. Elena's necklace wasn't just sold. It was cleansed, laundered, and erased. I sat alone in my apartment, the city buzzing below like static. Elena's portrait stared back at me from the mantel. Her eyes still calm, even now. I whispered to the empty room, "I let you down." And for the first time since her funeral, I felt something deeper than grief. Fuel. If Marina didn't take the necklace, who the hell did? I didn't sleep. 3 hours after the BTC transaction popped up in my inbox, I was tearing through boxes in the back of my closet. I kept Elena's old journals in a fireproof case because she once said, "Some secrets are safer in handwriting than in hard drives." She wasn't wrong. Third book down, blue leather, creased spine. I opened it like I was defusing a bomb. Pages fluttered, receipts, doodles, dates. Then I saw it. Folded inside a first edition of The Secret Pilgrim was a note, handwritten, Elena's looping script. Silver code, Trust ELC, Vault 7. The paper shook in my hand, not from nerves, from memory. Vault 7. That was never about banks. That was our code for a fallback site, back when she worked defense intel with me, before she left all of that for marriage, motherhood, and migraines. When things got messy, she'd say, "If we ever lose control, we meet at Vault 7. She never used that phrase again, until now. I knew where I had to go. Cutscene. Frankie Solis lived above a Dominican bodega in the Bronx. He was 10 years out of Black Ops and 1 drink away from losing his PI license. But Frankie owed me, and I needed a back channel. He opened the door in a robe, one eye bloodshot. "Damn, Oscar, I thought you were dead." "You were almost right. I don't work for free." I handed him the note. He stopped smiling. Silver code, Trust ELC, Vault 7. His eyes scanned the page. "This is an encrypted trust anchor, the kind used for offshore registries. Can you trace it?" He looked at me. "Maybe, but you'd better hope the people who built it are slower than the people trying to bury it." Cutscene. By noon, Frankie had cracked enough to find metadata. There's a biometric trigger, not password-based, object-locked. "What kind of object?" He pointed to the scan. "Bracelet. No, wait, necklace." I stared at the screen. The clasp. That was the key. Elena's necklace wasn't just gold. It was a goddamn USB kill switch. I felt sick. Marina hadn't just sold a memory. She'd handed over a cipher. "Tell me who owns the trust." Frankie zoomed in. Names blinked. One line at the bottom. Beneficiary. Holden Knox, pending override. What the hell is he doing there? Frankie frowned. Trusts can be restructured if the primary executor's death cert is filed. Elena's certificate was issued by Mercy General 2 years ago. Then this was set up before she died. No. I backed away. She didn't trust him. Then why'd she list him? She didn't. My mind raced. Trust records aren't forged casually. You'd need probate access, medical records, power of attorney, or a lawyer willing to kill paper trails. Frankie lit a cigarette. Blue smoke. "She called me a week before she died," he muttered. "We hadn't talked in years. She said, 'If anything happens to me, tell Oscar not to trust. The one who smiles the most.' Holden, a liar with perfect teeth. You should have told me." She asked me not to. Said timing mattered more than truth. Cutscene. That night, I broke into Marina's apartment. No alarms. She never changed the entry code. 0731. Her birthday. She thought I'd forget. Inside, it smelled like lavender and greed. I found her passport, stamped Ibiza. Then I checked her travel history online. Airport logins, boarding passes. There were 2 entries for July 3rd. Newark to Ibiza. Ibiza to Zurich. Same name, same ID, same timestamp. Impossible. Someone used her credentials to split the flight. I ran the terminal data through Frankie's burner AI. The faces didn't match. Not exactly. One was Marina. The other, unknown female. Similar enough to pass at a glance. Different enough if you knew what to look for. A proxy. A swap. A shell. I heard something. Footsteps. I froze. Then backed into the hallway, gun drawn from my ankle holster. Nothing. No sounds, no breath. Just the click of a door. Locking itself. Someone had been inside, or still was. I didn't wait to find out. Cutscene. I returned home. The elevator blinked twice before opening. A man in a suit stepped out, sunglasses on, at 1 a.m. He brushed past me, whispered, "Stay dead, Mr. Cutter." I didn't look back. In the apartment, I opened the wine cabinet. Inside wasn't wine, just a military-grade signal scrambler and a folder I kept from my old days. Operation Silver Code. Inside was the original asset map from 1997. One asset had been sealed, name redacted, location Ibiza, Spain, status active. I dropped the folder, my hands clenched. They didn't just steal from me, they erased her. Ibiza burned in gold, not just the sun. The illusion. Wealth dressed as comfort. Greed disguised as glamour. My flight landed at 5:02 a.m., and within the hour, I had already changed identities twice. Oscar Cutter was officially not in Spain. I moved like vapor through the crowds at Ibiza's Marina District. Neon bled across wet pavement. Music pulsed from a rooftop bar even at dawn. They say there are places where morality is optional. This island didn't even pretend. Cutscene. Sebastian Roque wore linen-like armor, broker to the rich, dealer of quiet acquisitions. We met in a private club. I posed as a luxury buyer looking for legacy pieces with encrypted lineage. He liked my lie. Everything can be traced, he said, swirling dark rum, unless it was never on paper to begin with. I showed him the photo of Elena's necklace. His pupils flickered, then nothing. He leaned back, smiled. Discreet transfer, no returns. Dead drop. Zurich. I don't know more, and if I did, I wouldn't. I leaned closer. She was my wife. He shrugged. Everyone sells someone eventually. I reached under the table, turned off the audio scrambler I'd hidden beneath his chair. We were no longer encrypted. Fine, he whispered. Silvergate and Blackthorn handled the back end. They run quiet structuring for trusts. Manhattan-based. Only 2 names could have signed it through. I said nothing. He slid a card across the table. Holden Knox. Marina Cutter. Cutscene. I stood in the bathroom stall of a beachfront hotel, hands shaking over a burner phone. I called Marina. Voicemail. I tried again. She answered on the 5th ring. Voice low, breath sharp. Dad? Where are you? I don't know. I was at the suite. Someone broke in. I ran. Where's Holden? She didn't answer. Marina, listen to me. You're not just on vacation. They used you. She was crying now. Dad, they told me if I ever called you again, they'd come for me next. Who told you? Holden. He's not who I thought. The line cut. Click. Silence. I raced through the rain-soaked cobblestones of Old Town Ibiza. My phone buzzed. Frankie. You were right. Holden's not just a hedge fund rat. He's on file with the DOJ. Money laundering watch list, uses engagement rings as diversion tokens, moving assets through trust beneficiaries. I stopped walking. What does that mean? He's not marrying your daughter. He's converting her into an asset shield. My stomach dropped. She's a name on a document. That's all. At the hotel, Marina's suite was trashed. No forced entry, no cameras, just a single item on the bed. Her passport, open. Face page torn out. I scanned the room. The bathroom light buzzed overhead. The mirror was fogged. One word written across it in lipstick. Run. Cutscene. I returned to the villa Holden rented under my daughter's name. He was on the balcony, in swim shorts, sipping champagne, sunglasses on. Beneath him, waves exploded on black rocks. He didn't flinch when he saw me. You're persistent, he said. Where is she? She's safe, for now. She's not a trust. She's my daughter. He smirked. Everyone's something to someone. Marina. She's an identity vehicle. Nothing more. You, of all people, should understand utility. You used her. She signed willingly. I doubt she knew what she signed. He stepped closer. You're not in America anymore, Oscar. There are no rules here. That's the problem. I still live by some. I swung, hit him across the jaw. Glass shattered. His scream echoed across the cliffs. Cutscene. I didn't kill him, but I wanted to. I left him bleeding on imported tile. Back in my room, I opened Frankie's latest email. One document. Leaked internal memo. Silvergate and Blackthorn LLP title. Asset termination. Compliant subject. Elena Cutter. Status executed. My lungs collapsed inside me. They didn't just take the necklace. They planned her death. Pre-signed, paperwork filed, witnesses forged, autopsy waived under private family discretion. Marina didn't know, but Holden did, and someone else approved it. I looked again at the form, bottom right corner, a redacted name, but the signature code, I'd seen it before, on our marriage license. If Elena's necklace was a key, then something is still locked. The memo burned a hole through my pocket. Executed. That word doesn't belong in a law firm document. It belongs on battlefields, firing lines, rooms without windows. I left Ibiza before sunrise. New name, new passport, courtesy of a favor Frankie once paid for with 3 broken ribs and a promise never to ask why. As the plane lifted, my phone vibrated once. No number, just coordinates. Manhattan. Vault 7 wasn't a place. It was a process. Cutscene. Silvergate and Blackthorn LLP occupied 3 floors of glass and limestone, Midtown East. Old money pretending to be clean. I walked in as an auditor, gray suit, dead eyes, no smile. The receptionist scanned my badge too long. 3rd floor, she said. Compliance. Elevator doors closed. I counted breaths. Slow in, slower out. Someone once told me fear is useful. It sharpens the blade. Panic just dulls it. 3rd floor, a conference room, frosted glass. 10 people inside, all white shirts, all watching one man speak. Holden Knox. Alive. Smiling. Unbruised. Like nothing in Ibiza ever happened. I slipped into the back. He was mid-pitch. We restructured distressed trusts under ethical continuity guidelines. Ethical? I almost laughed. A woman raised her hand. What about the Cutter Trust? Holden didn't hesitate. Closed. Asset terminated. I felt the room tilt. Another voice. Male. Calm. And the widow. Holden's smile thinned. Deceased. That's when I moved. Objection, I said. Heads turned. Holden froze. I'm the widower, I continued, and I'm very much alive. Silence cracked the room open. Security rushed in. Badges. Hands on belts. The managing partner, a silver-haired man with shark eyes, stood. Mr. Cutter, he said carefully, this is a private meeting. So was my wife's death. Gasps. Phones came out. Someone whispered. Another prayed. I leaned forward. You filed a false death certificate to trigger a trust override. That's fraud. Federal. The partner smiled thinly. We followed procedure. You followed opportunity. Cut scene. They escorted me out. Too calm. Too clean. Outside, the sidewalk felt wrong. Too quiet. The city had that pause it gets before something breaks. Frankie called. You've got 5 minutes. They just filed an emergency injunction. To freeze assets. To freeze you. I ducked into a deli. Back exit. Alley. Another man stepped out of a black sedan, gun visible. I ran. I cut through Grand Central. Crowds, noise, distraction. Distraction is a gift. Use it. I slid into a restroom, changed jackets. Cap on, phone out. I filed a mandatory report with the SEC. Whistleblower submission, time-stamped, auto-logged. Attached the memo. The forged death cert, the BTC trail, everything I had. Once it's filed, it can't be erased. That's the rule. A voice echoed behind me. Oscar. I turned. Marina. Hair. Disheveled. Eyes rayed. Alive. Relief hit me like a punch. Then suspicion. They brought me back, she said quickly. Holden said it was safer. Safer for who? She swallowed. Dad. I didn't know. He said the necklace was just leverage, that Mom wanted it sold. Did she? Marina shook her head. She told me once, if anyone ever asks for that necklace, it means the world is lying. I didn't understand. I took her hands. You were used. I know. Tears fell. I signed things. I thought it was paperwork for the trip. Trips are how they move people without questions. I said, you don't disappear. You vacation. She nodded. They said if I talked, you'd die. A scream cut the air. Gunshot. People scattered. Holden stood at the far end of the hall, pistol raised, eyes wild. You ruined everything, he shouted. Security froze. Phones dropped. Time slowed, the way it does right before impact. I stepped in front of Marina. Put it down, I said. This ends badly. For you, he said. I thought of Elena, of how she always said, the truth doesn't need permission, it just needs one door left open. I pressed send. Police flooded in, sirens, shouting. Holden dropped the gun, hands up. They cuffed him hard. As they dragged him away, he smiled at me. You're still missing the last key. What key? The trust doesn't unlock with the necklace alone. My phone buzzed. Unknown sender. One line of text. Vault 7 is already open. You just weren't meant to see what's inside. The message looped in my head like a blade spinning too fast to stop. Vault 7 is already open. You just weren't meant to see what's inside. I didn't know what was worse, that someone else had accessed it, or that Elena hadn't told me everything. Trust is a mirror. Once cracked, the reflection warps everything. Cutscene. Marina was asleep in the safe house. Frankie's contact had moved her off-grid. I watched her chest rise and fall like nothing had shattered. Like her signature hadn't unlocked a grave. Frankie leaned against the doorframe. You want truth, you need to go back to the beginning. Which beginning? The one before she married you. He handed me a file, unlabeled, no timestamp. Inside, Elena's personnel record, a younger photo, sharper jawline, blank eyes, top clearance, pre-marriage, deep asset. She wasn't just intelligence, Frankie said. She was embedded. I flipped the last page. Savannah, Georgia. Project Fireglass. Classified. Terminated. 2004. Cutscene. Savannah smelled like jasmine and rain-soaked memory. I hadn't been back in decades. The address led to a crumbling red brick building with blackout shutters, the kind of place where whispers used to scream. I keyed in the numbers. 0715. Elena's birthday. The lock clicked. Inside, dust danced through amber sunlight. Filing cabinets, tape reels, a vault door still sealed. I touched the code pad. It buzzed. Locked. I circled the room. On the far wall, Elena's handwriting, faint under layers of paint. If you're reading this, Oscar, it means I failed. The air disappeared. She wrote to me. After death, before the betrayal. Cutscene. I found a hidden drawer behind a false floorboard. Inside, an old burner phone, dead, and a keycard. Stamped, Silver Protocol, 1987 class. I called Frankie. This card matches what? He whistled. Level 4 override means she had post-mission access to funds, personnel, and kill authority. Why would she need that? Because she knew the house was going to burn. Cutscene. I checked the terminal in the vault. Password denied. Password denied. Third attempt. I used the only phrase she ever said during storms. When they burn everything, you run through the ash. The vault hissed open. A screen lit up. One file. Truth behind Truth PDF. I copied it to a drive. No time to read. The cameras inside clicked. Motion triggered. They knew I was here. A black SUV pulled up outside. Doors opened. Men in suits. No badges. Just silencers. I ran through the back. Cutscene. Downtown Savannah. I merged into a wedding crowd at Forsyth Park. Tuxedos. Champagne. Someone's love next to someone else's mistake. My phone vibrated. Unknown sender. We warned you, Oscar. The next bullet won't be near you. It'll be through her. Attached, Marina's photo. Time stamped 20 minutes ago. At the safe house. I stole a bike. Rode like my blood was gasoline. Every bump in the road felt like it would shatter me. When I reached the house, the door was open. No blood. No struggle. No Marina. On the wall, etched with a knife into the plaster. V7 was just the first door. I dropped to my knees. Elena's voice echoed in my memory. If you ever hear the word protocol read, it's already too late. My phone lit up. Live video. Marina, tied to a chair, gagged. Behind her, someone I hadn't seen in 25 years. And she was supposed to be dead. Elena. Alive. Eyes colder than I remembered. Voice sharp as war. I didn't die, Oscar. I disappeared to finish what you couldn't. She stepped closer to the camera. And now you're going to help me end it. Elena's face filled the screen. Alive. Older, sharper. The woman I buried was gone. This one had edges. Oscar, she said calmly, as if we were discussing weather, not blood. Listen carefully. You have 40 minutes. Let her go, I said. Marina whimpered behind the gag. Her eyes locked on mine. Fear, trust, both at once. Elena smiled faintly. You always thought love meant protection. You were wrong. Love means finishing what others are too afraid to start. The feed cut. Coordinates dropped. Brooklyn Navy Yard. Cutscene. The warehouse was dead concrete and sodium lights. Wind off the river carried rust and oil. I moved fast. No backup. Frankie tried to stop me. I didn't let him. Some truths aren't meant to be shared. They're meant to be carried. Inside, footsteps echoed. My breath sounded too loud. I remembered something an old commander once said. When the room goes quiet, it's because the lie has nowhere left to hide. I saw Marina first, tied, alive. Then Elena stepped out of shadow. Up close, she smelled the same. Cedar and smoke. The necklace was around her neck, open. The clasp exposed, circuitry blinking. You kept it, I said. It was never meant to be sold, she replied. It was meant to open doors. You faked your death. I survived, she corrected. There's a difference. Men emerged behind her, guns raised, professionals, not killers, enforcers. Elena, I said, you murdered your own life. She shook her head. I erased it. For Marina. For you. For the money they were bleeding out of this country. Someone had to stop them. So you became them. Her eyes flickered. Just once. I stepped closer. Slow. Palms open. You once told me the truth doesn't need permission, it just needs daylight. She looked past me, to Marina, hesitated. That was the crack. I pressed the button in my pocket. The warehouse lights flared. Red and blue washed the walls, sirens, shouts, FBI, SEC, DOJ. The whistleblower file I submitted auto-triggered a mandatory multi-agency response once the trust tried to move funds again. That's how the law works. Slow, until it's not. The men froze. Elena didn't. You always believed in rules, she said softly. That was your weakness. And you always believed ends justify means, I replied. That was yours. She reached for the necklace. I lunged. The gunshot was deafening. Pain tore through my shoulder. I stayed upright. She stared at me, shocked, not by the blood, by the fact I didn't fall. I learned something too, I said through clenched teeth. Sacrifice means choosing who pays the price. You chose wrong. Agents flooded in. Weapons down. Orders barked. Elena dropped the necklace. It hit the floor with a dull final sound. They took her away in cuffs. She didn't look back. Marina collapsed into my arms, shaking. Alive. I held her like I never had. Before. Tight. No armor, no strategy. Just a father. Cutscene. Weeks later, the trials began. Holden testified, then vanished into witness protection. Silvergate and Blackthorn dissolved overnight. Assets seized, names dragged into daylight. The trust funds were frozen, then redirected. Restitution, scholarships, hospitals. Not clean, but closer. Elena pled guilty. Life sentence. No parole. I visited once. She sat behind glass. Smaller now. I loved you, she said. I know, I replied. But love without mercy becomes something else. She closed her eyes. I left. The necklace is gone, melted down by court order. The gold repurposed into memorial coins for victims of the fraud. No names. Just a date. I keep one in my pocket. Marina moved back home. Started over. Therapy. Honest work. She laughs again. Not the same way, but real. Sometimes she asks if I hate her mother. I tell her the truth. Hate is easy, I say. Understanding is harder, but it's the only thing that doesn't rot you from the inside. At night, when the city quiets, I think about doors. Some are locked to protect us. Some are locked to trap us. And some should never be opened, no matter how beautiful the key looks. I lost my wife twice, but I didn't lose my soul. And that, I've learned, is the last thing anyone should ever be allowed to sell.